Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of GoldenEye, the 17th James Bond film, and it's directed by Martin Campbell. And GoldenEye, it's one of the most popular Bond films, as I've said before on my channel. And if you see rankings of Bond films, most people would say this is one of the best. It's usually, right up there among the very best, if not the top. And it's acclaimed by fans and critics alike, really. At least solidly. And it's probably the Bond film I've seen the most actually, overall. And let's just say it, I absolutely love this film, and for me, it's definitely one of the very best Bond films. And for me, it just does everything right, and it's everything you want from a Bond film and more in a lot of cases. So it's the first Pierce Brosnan Bond film. And after Timothy Dalton, this is a 6-year gap, between License to Kill and this film, which is the biggest gap there's ever been in a Bond, between two Bond films. And yeah, at the time, as I said before, License to Kill was a bit divisive, and it didn't do too well, considering. So this is the Bond film that brought it back. You could say the franchise. And as I've said in my License to Kill review, I feel that this was from License to Kill up until Die Another Day. Let's just say there was a real consistency again that we hadn't seen since really the Sean Connery films, and finishing really with Diamonds Are Forever, which was a complete awful film for me. And from then onwards until really License to Kill, I found there was a hit and miss really. It was up and down. There was some great films there, but it was up and down. It wasn't consistent. And this was kind of the period that brought it back, that consistency, you could say. And GoldenEye, within this era of Bonds, as I say, that period, from License to Kill to Die Another Day, for me, GoldenEye is the best of the bunch of them ones. And so Pierce Brosnan, absolutely stunning. In this film, he gives one of the very best Bond portrayals, I think, and it's definitely his best performance that he's given for me. And it's just right off the bat, it seems like he's born to play James Bond. And the opening scene is one of the best opening scenes. It could be the best opening scene to any Bond film for me. It's just perfect. The stunts that are involved are absolutely stunning, and as well, it sets up so many different things. For the film, Sean Bean's character, and just the motivations there, and a bit of mystery it adds there, and just Bond himself. Straight away, he is Bond. Pierce Brosnan, absolutely stunning performance. And yeah, the way it just leads into the titles, wow. And the titles themselves, stunning. The song GoldenEye, performed by Tina Turner, is one of the best Bond themes for me. The way the titles are designed, stunning. Another return to form for me. So a lot of the Roger Moore Bonds, they didn't have very good titles for me. But this was a great one, for sure. And the first act of this film, it's just setting up so many different things. You've got Judi Dench in her first M performance, and let's just say it, she's the best M for me. Perfect, and yeah, just the way she kind of is introduced is brilliant. All the supporting cast as well are great. But she's born to play M, and I think she's far and away the best actor that's played M, for sure. And the Bond girl as well in this film, absolutely stunning. One of the best Bond girls for sure, played by Izabella Scorupco, and she plays Natalia. She's just brilliant in this film, and all the scenes that in the first act or so that you see building her character, and and giving her motivations and some depth. it's definitely I'd say she's probably got the best Bond girl involvement in the plot. Maybe you could say, if you take everything into account, and her chemistry as well with Alan Cumming, who plays Boris. I really like these scenes as well. They were great. Just building her character, and just setting the tone of the film. This is another one that doesn't take itself too seriously, and Alan Cumming, gives a wacky performance, but it's great, and it sets the tone for that, because there is some moments in this film that are really they don't take themselves seriously, but they're absolutely perfected in what they're trying to be. This is a perfect tone for a Bond film, and it never it's got its dark moments for sure, but it's constantly fun and just full of energy, for sure. And Alan Cumming was really good in this film, and as I say, them scenes that built up the Bond girl's arc. She's probably got the best arc to a Bond girl as well. It's absolutely brilliant. And she doesn't meet with Pierce Brosnan until, well, almost halfway through the film, really. But they build her up on her own first, and it gives that gives her more depth, really. She's not just a Bond girl that's kind of just supporting Bond and being there for the sake of it. She's her own character. But when she does meet with Bond, it's one of the best Bond romances once again for me. Their chemistry and just the scenes that they share, absolutely stunning. And she's another Bond girl who can fight as well and help Bond out. But she's got a great personality, and she's got depth on her own. I thought that was brilliant, the way they done that. And of course, the villain, played by Sean Bean. Now, Sean Bean is, I suppose he's one of my favourite modern actors, actually. I've never seen him give a bad performance, and he can play different characters. Of course, look at Game of Thrones and then compare that with this, with Lord of the Rings, the first one. And there's loads of performances that he gives that are just brilliant, and he can kind of do anything. Even National Treasure, which wasn't a very good film, he still gave a really good performance, I thought. And as a villain, he's one of the best Bond villains for me. And I think that the thing that they do the best in this film, with the Bond villain, is kind of that dynamic and that backstory and the relationship that him and Bond have. It's probably never been bettered, if you take into account how it was set up early on, and the chemistry they have. Because spoilers, of course, if you've not seen the film. Originally he was 006, and the twist that they have, well, it's not really a twist, but how he's brought into the play, and he's actually turns into be the villain. It happens fairly early on, so it's not really a spoiler, but that was perfected. The twist there, mini twist, and the way that him and Bond have this kind of past, it's just brilliant, and it adds that humanity as well to the villain, and giving Bond this kind of, it brings in morals for Bond as well, because he was originally friends with him. And Sean Bean's performance is just brilliant. One of the best Bond performances, but it's really the writing as well that brings that all together. His motivations and the way that that Bond and him, their kind of backstory plays into it is perfect. And flawless, really. And you've also got the side villain of Sean Bean, played by Famke Janssen, and she plays On the Top. Very weird, but absolutely brilliant and entertaining. If you've seen the film, of course, the things she does is completely bizarre, but it's always entertaining, and it adds that comedy. But yeah, I always remember as a kid just being freaked out by that. And but no, she's brilliant in this film as well. And how she plays off of Pierce Brosnan as well, brilliant. And yeah, just it's so iconic, all these villains and the Bond girl and then Alan Cumming. It's just the way it's done is just so memorable. And yes, it's played for laughs as well at some point, but you're always kind of following the motivations and how threatening the villains are, and culminating to an absolutely stunning final act. One of the best final acts to a Bond film. And the action in this film, really from start to finish, is almost the best, consistently Bond film in terms of action. Some of the standout scenes, the tank scene, in the centre of the film, absolutely stunning. And it's kind of everything you want from a Bond action scene. And the way that the theme comes on there and plays, it's absolutely stunning. And just the way, all the action in this film is absolutely stunning. And some of the best comes in the final act as well, culminating with the payoffs at the end, and the action there is absolutely flawless. And the film's perfectly paced as well. It never. It's just consistently stunning, entertaining. The way the plot unfolds, which is another basic plot. It's basically this weapon that can cause an EMP kind of thing that goes off, and Bond's basically trying to get that. But the way the plot is told, the way the story is told is brilliant, and the way it's mixed in with character moments, of course, and action scenes, is absolutely flawless. And you've got some other great characters as well. Jodon Baker returns, and this time he's a really memorable character, I thought. And you've got Robbie Coltrane as well. This has got an ensemble cast for sure. Probably one of the best ensembles in a Bond film. And all these supporting characters are all memorable. And just they always serve the plot, move the story forward. The narrative. There's never any distracting moments. And it's just a flawless film, really, a flawless Bond. And how it elevates as well, through the action, through the reveals and everything there. In every single act, it's absolutely stunning. And this one has again another emotional resonance, I feel. Firstly with the Bond girl and her arc, and then that romance as well, and then the way that the villain and the hero dynamics play off at the end. It does move, and it's definitely a powerful Bond film, and for sure one of the most entertaining ones. For sure, Pierce Brosnan's best, performance, and his best Bond film. So overall, I can't flaw this film at all. It's one of the Bond films that makes it into my top 100 films of all time, and it's just one of the absolute best Bond films, action films. Everything. It's just everything comes together, and every act is absolutely stunning, just constantly compelling. You're always aware of all the motivations, the Bond girl, the villains, and the way that's all the reveals, of course, absolutely stunning. The writing is really just stunning, and the way the characters are introduced, and all the interesting quirky things that they do. Every character serves the plot, and is memorable in their own right. All the performances are absolutely stunning, and memorable. and the action, of course, is absolutely stunning throughout. This film is directed, masterfully. I think Martin Campbell, he's, when you take into account the two Bond films he's done, GoldenEye and Casino Royale, of course, I'll say it now, Casino Royale is one of the absolute best as well. And these two Bond films are absolutely stunning, but they're so different as well. In their tone, and their place within Bond, within the franchise. They're so different, but both of them are so masterful in their own way. And it kind of makes me just feel, why didn't they let him return to direct Bond? Because consistently, that's the best for me, for a director of Bond. But yeah, no, this film is directed to perfection. The editing is absolutely stunning. I see, some people flaw the actual score, but I don't. I think it's great. I can see what they mean. It sounds a bit, metal, video game-esque. But no, I think I love the score, and of course the title song is absolutely stunning. Everything just comes together, perfectly. For sure, one of the best Bonds, and I'll give it 100% plus, tier 2. Now that is extremely high. Tier 1 I gave to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but apart from that, so far, of the Bonds I've reviewed, this is, the highest that I've given, highest rating. So absolutely stunning film. Sits among my top 100 films, and just every act builds perfectly and culminates absolutely masterfully. Every single moment of this film is memorable, and just masterful entertainment, and of course moving as well. Fleshed out characters, great depth to the villains, and the Bond girl, and of course Bond. One of the best Bond performances. I put him up there. Pierce Brosnan in this film, I put him up there with Connery's best two performances, and Daniel Craig's best two performances as well. Apart from these actors, I think Pierce Brosnan gives just one of the absolute best. And of course Sean Bean, flawless as a villain, and the best dynamics and relationships between the two, between the hero and the villain, in a Bond film for me, for sure. There may be, I'll get to a better Bond villain, but the actual the dynamics that play off have never really been bettered for me in a Bond film. So yeah, absolutely love this film, and it's going to be appearing extremely high on my ranking. And there's a reason why people put this right at the top. I've always loved this film, and it just gets better and better each time I see it. Absolutely stunning. So thanks for watching my review. Next up is Tomorrow Never Dies, another Pierce Brosnan film. So I'll be reviewing that next. Thanks for watching.